Oh, hey there. Welcome to the first reading vlog here on my channel. I'm excited to get going with these on just my channel in general and ready to just dive more into just my boring life of reading books. So I'm going to just quickly go over the books that I'm currently reading and what I think about them. I just started this book yesterday, and it is actually a buddy read that I'm doing with Hugo over at Scientist Reading Room's channel. And then as well, it's my kind of book club pick for August, and that is the Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. And this has been really interesting so far. I'm only about like 50 pages in, but so far it's basically like kind of got several different perspectives, and each one is kind of got some mysteries behind them, and it's been interesting so far. One of them, what is her name? Prina, I believe that's how you say her name. It's kind of got a past that I'm not sure kind of what's going on with her yet, but I'm just interested to see how she kind of develops in the story. And then we had the princess Mahina, I believe, Melina. That was a terrible pronunciation, but she's basically held prison in this one temple, and Prina's kind of taken on a job as kind of like a servant's woman there, and I believe that some political intrigue and some plotting is going to go on between them, and then they're starting to introduce quite a few other characters and their perspectives as well. So one of them, Alaska, is very interesting, and his perspectives are very short, so I don't know much about him yet, but I think he will start to play a bigger role in the coming chapters. But just the world in general is really interesting, and it almost kind of reminds me of Aladdin, and that is one of my favorite movies, so I can't wait to just dive more into just the world and what's going on with it. But I guess I can just kind of read you the description about what's really going on here. It says, trapped by her despotic brother within the crumbling walls of an ancient temple, Princess Melina dreams of vengeance. Forced to disavow her birthright and her power because of her past, maidservant Prina dreams of freedom. In a world besought by wild magic and turbulent uprising, their destinies will become irrevocably tangled, and together they will set an empire ablaze. So that's what's going on here, and so far it's been pretty interesting, and I can't wait to get farther into it. It's pretty thick, so this reading vlog will probably be encompassing most of this book. A graphic novel that I'm also currently in the middle of is Nameless, and I'm not very far in it as either. And it's very interesting so far as well. It's got like an asteroid coming towards Earth, and this one mysterious character named Nameless who's got to stop it. So I'm interested to see where this will go. I saw this on a review about this on Steve Talks About Books channel, and I thought I'd pick it up at my used bookstore when it was on sale. So I can't wait to get farther into this. And then lastly, I'm listening to the audiobook Dead Wake, The Last Crossing of the Lusitania. I've always been fascinated by the Lusitania and how it was kind of the entryway for America into World War I. And I'm interested. What I really like about it so far, I'm about halfway through, it's really covering kind of the tactics and the life of just the German U-boats and kind of what they did. And it's pretty scary, like how compressed and everything they were in those submarines. And it's also covering a lot of the past on just the different passengers and what they were traveling to England for and what's going on with them, and they're all pretty interesting. And I've always been a fan of Eric Larson's work, so I can't wait to finish that up as well. But that's what's going on for this reading vlog, and I hope you enjoy the first installment of this, which I hope will be a kind of new staple on my channel. So let's get into some reading. Thought I'd do a little bit of a reading check-in. Sorry if you hear the dryer in the background, but I haven't read much today. It's Sunday afternoon, and I listened to a little bit of Dead Wake on my kind of little walk, and it's been pretty interesting to see how kind of just like the passengers of the Lusitania are basically kind of saying that like nothing bad is going to happen to them. And there was another crazy part, the mascot of the ship is basically like a cat, and it has always kind of had its place on the ship, but before they left New York, the cat like mysteriously disappeared. So it's kind of like a whole suspicion behind that, and I wonder, like, it kind of it knew what was really going to go down. But the ship has finally left New York, and now it's setting sail, and its fate is coming near. And I like how it shows both the perspective of several passengers on the Lusitania, and then from the captain and the kind of crew members of the U-boat 20 and it's just been crazy to just skip both sides of the story and see how it's gonna play out in the end. But other than that, like, I think I'm gonna cut me up some fruit and read the Jasmine Throne. That has also been getting pretty interesting. I think it's starting to finally like show what the true plot of the kind of story is going to be and what's really going to start going down for all the perspectives, and I'm really interested to see where it will go. Other than that, like, I've read a little bit of the graphic novel Nameless, and that is really interesting. I'm on board with everything that's going on there. Like, just the drawings and illustrations on that are pretty horrific and graphic, but I like it. It's got like some astronauts in space. There's like a moon base, and I thought that was cool that like they put the moon base on the dark side of the moon. And I haven't really got into much of graphic novels, so I think this one has just been a blast so far, and I'm really interested to see how like the oculate, because that's what the specialist Nameless, he's basically like a specialist in the oculate, and I'm interested to see how he will play a role in the story. So that is kind of my little check-in, and I can't wait to just get some more reading done once I cut me up some fruit. Got my sustenance for reading here. Some peaches, a little bit of kiwi, and some watermelon, and some coconut yogurt. And now it's time to read. Happy Monday, everyone. I thought I'd do another reading check-in. I am about like 150 pages through the Jasmine Throne, and it is really starting to kick off like quite a bit. Like when I last left off, it was really starting to kind of show what the real plot was going to be and what was really going to go down, and now it's starting to show. And like Priya's role, I think, is going to like start to take off quite a bit now that she's kind of the main maidservant for the Princess Melina, after some things kind of like a fight went down and she showed some of her powers that she's starting to gain. And let me tell you, like the magic that's starting to like form throughout this is really interesting. The way that like Priya can kind of gain powers and like more like abilities through the connection to this temple that they're in called like the Harana. And since she's basically like working there, and she used to be like a temple child, and they were basically like working with the ancient gods, like they were able to harness powers. And now that she's back there after leaving, after the kind of like the burnings of the children that lived there, she's now starting to kind of gain more powers now that she's back there. And now like some more characters, like I was initially only thought that like two perspectives were going to be, like we were only going to follow two perspectives, but now like more and more perspectives are adding on new information and more things to kind of add to the story. And it's really getting interesting. Like we're seeing both like the sides of just like the rebellion trying to take just a kingdom back to its original ways, and then like here's Izzy, if you want to see her. She wants to come on camera, I guess. But but also like her brother, who's started to make an appearance, is going to be like, he started to kind of reach out to her, and he's really starting to do anything for the rebellion. And I'm afraid that just now that he's reached out to some sister, like some things are going to go on between them now that they had a past, because she thought, I won't go anymore, but there's a past between them. So now a lot of things are gonna, I think, start to take off between them. But other than that, I'm really interested to see where just the other perspectives kind of come into play and what they'll add to the story. And other things that I'm reading, I'm still kind of getting through Nameless, and that is really brutal. Like I'm on board with it. It's almost like a mix of kind of Prometheus and then just like some horror and occult elements as well, like with this asteroid and them trying to save Earth, but some things are going on deeper down in that asteroid. Other than that, like I'm still kind of listening to Dead Wake, and I haven't got through very much of it, but it is, yeah, it's been kind of getting more into information on just the passengers and kind of what they do and that kind of stuff, like what they did. And then there's like some scenes of them like just doing regular stuff on the ship, so it's been kind of boring, I guess. My plans for Monday, I hope to get a lot more reading done, but I also need to go to some of the local stores down the road to kind of get more school supplies and get ready for fall semester. And I just kind of, there's a Target nearby, and there's also a local bookstore that I go to for just my used books, and I gotta drop off some old books, so maybe I'll take you along and just give you a little bit of a tour of just this tiny little bookshop. But that is the plan for today, and I hope to get a lot more reading in. Okay, it is time for a little reading check, and it is well needed. because of things have gone down in the Jasmine Throne. A lot of let me just start with Ahashk. I think I'm saying that right. But I swear to God, if he is doing what I think he is doing, I will never forgive him. But now that I kind of know what his true desires are with Priya and his sister, I don't know if I can vibe with him anymore. I think now things are starting to truly unfold, and I don't know where it's gonna go from here. It's been a blast so far. It's been kind of, I would say that this isn't like, it's kind of easy to grasp for like everyone. Like I'm kind of a beginner in adult fantasy, so I think I'm starting to kind of grasp everything going on. So I think a lot of people can kind of connect with just what's going on here and kind of grasp it in the beginning. But other than that, like, I'm really excited to get farther in the book because the world is starting to expand and a lot more is just being added on. So I just can't wait to continue on because things are going down in this kingdom, and I'm kind of worried for Priya. She's kind of my main character that I'm following right now, and I'm worried for her. Hello friends, it is time for a reading check-in for the Jasmine Throne. And let me tell you, like, I know yesterday I was telling you how crazy it's gotten, but now it is just taking a whole nother step. And what's going on is crazy. Like, I'm fully starting to understand now, like, the different kingdoms and how, like, each one kind of focuses on a different religion and beliefs, and kind of how the rebellion is kind of on the Aryan side, and they're basically kind of just trying to overthrow the Perengeti and basically take back control and take them back to the old ways. And I thought that was kind of interesting how they have different beliefs, and that was kind of explained a little bit in the last pages. I'm about 230 pages in, but now it's fully starting to explain more about just like how they harness their powers, and how Priya is basically starting to learn more about just the past as it's kind of starting to come back to her as she spends more time with the princess in the Hirani kind of temple, and it's starting to give her more powers of the Yashka, which are the kind of gods of the Aranhari, who are the kind of on the rebellion side. But it's just very interesting to see how like she's starting to change as a character with these new abilities, and she's starting to I forgot to tell you, like, there's this one aspect called like the Sangam, which is basically like the astral field from like Doctor Strange, where they can kind of communicate with each other. But that's basically how she's communicating with Ashuk, her brother, and that's like, it's crazy what goes on there, like the astral field vibes that I'm getting from that. And then like there's this whole other aspect of just the Aranhari kind of religion and their kingdom, of like the dark waters, I believe. Yeah, the dark waters are the deadliest waters. I can't remember. How can I not remember? I just read this. But like the way that it's kind of like a drug, and they basically have to consume it or else they just basically die. And the Aranhari are basically like looking for these deathless waters because their supplies kind of running out. But when you kind of consume the drink and drink the water, you have like these abilities that are kind of like the Yashka, and they're like super powerful, and they use it in the rebellion, and they're running out. And Priya is like the only one who knows where it is, and like she's stuck between kind of helping the princess or the rebellion. So it's just been going crazy. And like with each kind of new perspective, it just adds on like a whole nother aspect. But I would say it is mainly through Priya's eyes, and I'm really just enjoying her kind of character development and growth. But I'm really hoping that it kind of expands more with the other characters, and we see some more growth with them as well. But I don't have much plans for today other than kind of getting ready for university next week. So I think I'm going to get a lot of reading in. I also kind of filmed kind of a little book haul yesterday, and the footage kind of disappeared. So I'll do another kind of book haul covering what I got in that little bookstore. Even like the footage that I got in there, like it just disappeared. So I won't be, I won't include that, but I'll do like a little mini book haul as well. But I'm hoping to get a lot farther through the Jasmine Throne, because it's like I'm just flying through it. I'm really kind of enjoying kind of the vibrant world and everything going on with it. But yeah, I'll check in with you guys later. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, and it has been a busy couple days. Yesterday was pretty crazy. I've just been reading in general, but I was really hoping to kind of get organized for kind of university, and kind of get everything in order with their schedules and syllabus and figuring out where my classes are. But when I went on to kind of school website to figure out where I could locate my syllabuses and classes, nothing was posted. So we start class on Monday and there's nothing out there. So I don't even, maybe we're not even having class anymore. But so I got a lot of reading done. So I got a lot to talk about like the Jasmine Throne, Nameless, and then Dead Wake. So I'm just gonna go through and give you a little bit of a check-in about what's going on. And I'm sure Izzy's gonna make an appearance here pretty soon, because as soon as I brought out that camera, she wants to be on the camera. First off, with the Jasmine Throne, it is like, I was really worried in the beginning about not kind of getting on board with this book, this new adult fantasy series, because there's like so many perspectives, and it just adds on like all kinds of new stuff with just each perspective. So I was worried that I wouldn't grasp everything with just like the magic, the world building, and then just all the different characters kind of portraying new things. So I was a bit worried in the beginning. I was like, oh, like I don't know if I can grasp everything, because I'm pretty new to adult fantasy. But like once I hit like the 100-page mark, like I fully grasped everything, and then like it really kind of kicked off, and I was just on board. And like it has been tough to put down. It is very fast paced right now with everything going on. And just also, there's also kind of like a little bit of slow burn romance between Melina and the princess. Like I wasn't aware that was kind of a thing. Like I knew they were going to work together, but now they're kind of starting to develop feelings a little bit, but it is not like at the forefront. It is mostly like at the background, like very little. And it is almost kind of like a forbidden love rather than like an enemies to lover, because since they kind of come from two different races in this kingdom, this magical world, they're basically forbidden to love each other because they have two different belief systems. But I think by the end of this, there might be some feelings touched, because in each of their perspectives, like it's hard to kind of get a feel for them, because Melina, she can be kind of she can kind of be really deceptive and kind of controlling. So I'm just not sure if she's like, if this is her true feelings, or this is just her trying to take advantage of Pariah. So it's been like, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. And then another thing that I'm really enjoying is just Pariah's kind of slow bonding with the Hirana temple, and just like the magic within it. Like as she kind of learns more about it, she just uncovers new things about her past and just the temple, and it has just been like mesmerizing. It just things that she's been able to accomplish now that she's kind of grown and like understood more from her past and kind of brought back memories. And it's really getting crazy, because now she's starting to uncover passages and kind of control the hallways and the artworks in the temple. And it is just crazy to just uncover more of just the magic system and the way it plays a role in this world. And I love it. The world in general has just been vibrant, and like it's something I'm not used to, because this is kind of like an Indian inspired kind of fantasy, and I've never read anything. All I've read has been kind of Western based, so this has been just like a different taste, and like I've been loving it. And like I mentioned, like it has really gotten fast paced all of a sudden, and there's still like 200 pages left in the book. I'm about like 300 pages in, and it's like a 500-page book, and like right now where I'm at, like shit's gone crazy. Like it has gone down, and like I don't know where it's gonna go in these last 200 pages, because like after this, like I don't even know, but it has just been great. And like I don't know if anybody else has read this because it's a new release, but I'm interested to see what other people think. But that is kind of my little check-in for the Jasmine Throne, and I might end up finishing it today, because like I need to know what happens, because it's been great. It definitely has some problems. Like there'll be points where it's a little bit slower, but the majority of it, for being an adult fantasy and now following like several different perspectives, like each perspective adds something new, and like it's not that bad. Like it adds on new things, and it's been a really great read. I will definitely be finishing Nameless today. This has been like pretty creepy and scary. I'm a scaredy cat, so just know that going in. But this is kind of just the oculate and having to learn more about like this asteroid and the mythology, but like the Mayan and Aztec kind of mythology playing a role into kind of just this asteroid and everything going on. And it's been very trippy, let me tell you, because like you don't know what's real and what's going on, and at the end, as it kind of goes on, like you start to understand more about the character and what's really going on. And it's been very trippy, and it's definitely pretty graphic. Like, let me see if I can find some pictures in here. Like some of these pictures, like, ooh, I don't know if you can see this, but it's like it's pretty graphic and horrific, but it has been pretty interesting. I don't know how to recommend this to, or who to recommend it to, because I'm very inexperienced in graphic novels, but I would say if you kind of like horror or just anything by Grant Morrison, because he was the kind of Batman originator and he did a lot of the Batman stuff. So if you are interested in him, definitely check it out. But it's been interesting. I'll definitely finish that today. And then Dead Wake, I will probably maybe finish that today. I've been listening to it as an audiobook, and I plan on going for kind of a little walk today, so maybe I'll listen to that as well. But it has now gotten to the point where the U-boat has attacked the Lusitania and it is sinking, and it has just been sad to kind of hear the first accounts of just everyone like depicting what has happened, and just like it's just like pretty horrific to kind of hear just this different stories of the sinking and kind of witnessing everything that's going on. And it's been really sad to kind of just experience that, I guess, as best as I can through the first accounts. And that's one thing I always like in Eric Larson's work, is he puts in a ton of time to figure out these different first perspectives to give you just like the best glimpse you can at the history and just not make it boring. So this last part has been tough to kind of read about, because it's a lot of death and people losing their lives, and it's just been sad. But that's kind of my reading check-in for today. I have no plans for today except to wait on university to kind of give me some idea about what's really going on, like if we're having class or not. But so I plan on getting a lot of reading done, especially in Jasmine Throne. I'm going to try and finish that today, but if not, I'll probably finish it tomorrow. We'll see, I guess. But survive and thrive. Go out there and conquer the day. As promised, I'm going to do that little book haul from that little journey, that little adventure I took to my local bookstore. And it's a really cool bookstore if you haven't checked it out. It's called like $2 Books in Colorado Springs. Definitely go check it out. You got like $2 paperbacks and then like $4 to $6 hardbacks. So you can't beat that deal. But I thought I'd just show you what couple books I picked up that I really would like to get to in the future. And this first one is going to be The Monuments Men. Now, I watched the movie, and I loved the movie because I was always fascinated about like Hitler's kind of obsession with kind of just artwork and kind of collecting everything and kind of hiding it away. And I loved how these kind of artists and people from different backgrounds all came together and just lost their kind of sense of safety to go and kind of find this artwork and kind of save it. So can't wait I didn't know this was a book, so I can't wait to kind of dive into this book. Another one that really interested me was The Age of Light, and I've heard that, I think this is a new release, and this is kind of covering a Vogue star at around like the 30s in Paris, France, and it's kind of her journey as well as a journey with kind of a rising photographer, and I believe it just shows kind of like the high life of Paris and everything going on. So it sounds really interesting. I'm always a big fan of Paris and just the city of love, so we'll see where it goes between these two characters. This one I'm probably most excited that I found it's just called like Old Mars, and it's been edited by George R.R. Martin, who, if you don't know, wrote the Game of Thrones series, and this is kind of just a short collection of different short stories covering different kind of Martian tales. But it's got several different tales, and I'm really interested to just see what's all in these short stories. I've been loving a lot of short stories lately. I'm getting ready to dive into The Shadows of Carcosa, or this other fantasy book that I found, which is just a collection of all classic fantasy, and it's got like some Ursula Le Guin in there as well. So I don't know where I'll start with short stories next, but this one is really interesting. And lastly, I picked up book 2 in the Century trilogy, which is Winter of the World, and the first one was Fall of Giants, and I was really interested with that because it's kind of like just a lot of topics of the time period that I'm really interested in. World War I, Russian Revolution, is following several different perspectives over several different years, and in this one, I believe it goes from like 30s to maybe Cold War. I'm not sure, but like I loved the first one. It's funny. It's like It's similar to kind of soap operas where a lot of stuff is going on, a lot of drama, and I didn't like soap operas, the soap operas that my mom watched growing up, that I was forced to watch. But this I enjoy, so I guess I'm an old man, and I can't wait to continue with the series. Big old thick books kill someone. As far as reading goes, I finished Nameless, and that was something. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I wasn't like a bit disappointed with the way it ended. Like, it was kind of confusing, and then I had to just sit and think about it. But it was very kind of horrific and graphic, and I don't know if I kind of enjoy those. So I don't know. It was still interesting to kind of observe its kind of topics and read it. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about it yet. With the Jasmine Throne, all I'm gonna say is if Boomka, if she kind of, some things happen to her, I'm going to be very disappointed. I'm going to be very mad, and I might throw the book. We'll see where that goes. I just really enjoy how this magic is kind of playing into just the kind of fight scenes and just the way warfare is kind of conducted in this kingdom. Mesmerizing. It's like controlling plants and vines and moving and shifting things. So it's been really crazy. That's all I gotta say. If my favorite characters, if stuff goes down and they don't survive out of this, I'm throwing the book. Here pretty soon I'll probably start cooking dinner, and I'm not sure whether I should kind of watch some Netflix or Disney Plus, maybe some Castlevania, or finish listening to Dead Wake. After kind of listening to a lot of the kind of the sinking part, it's kind of, yeah, it was very sad, and I don't know if I want to jump right back into that yet. So I'll probably watch some Netflix. I think and I'll do some kind of cooking. Also, good news, I started my book today. I started writing my novel. I'm actually happy to start this journey, and I can't wait to see where it goes. But that's all for this little update. I hope you're all reading great books and having a great day. Good morning, friends. It is Thursday, and I have nothing to report about the Jasmine Throne. I know yesterday I said I was going to read and try and finish it, but you know what? I ended up playing Animal Crossings and watching Contagion. I don't know why I chose that movie, but you know what? I forgot that Matt Damon actually played a role in that, so my only plans for today is diving into this and continuing to write on my novel and continue that. I can't get organized for university because the professors have not posted anything, but that is my reading check-in for the Jasmine Throne. When I left off, things were getting crazy, and I'm pretty anxious to continue on and see where it goes. I don't have very much left. I think I only have like about 100 pages, so I think that's doable today on this Thursday, if not tomorrow for sure. But that is my little reading check-in. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Guess what? I said I was going to finish the Jasmine Throne, and I did. And now I'm just going to give you kind of my final thoughts on the book. Overall, it was really good, and I really enjoyed the time that I spent with it. It ended up being kind of a quick read. I read it in the duration of this vlog, so that's pretty crazy. It's almost, I think it's like 540 pages. So I'm glad that I didn't have very much school this week because I flew through this book. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was something different that I'm not used to. The magic was really cool, and everything involved in it, I was just on board with. Just the magic especially, I really enjoyed the magic, and I'll kind of touch more on that on my kind of monthly wrap-up. But it has kind of a sapphic romance, and it's mostly in the background, I would say. Like, it's not kind of at the forefront, and there's only kind of a couple scenes between Melina and Priya that are kind of, would be considered romance. So I would say it's mostly not, like, it's not there. It's kind of mostly in the background. I thought it would have been a little bit more interesting if it was kind of included a bit more, but that's not a bad thing to kind of drag on. Other than that, like, when I last checked off, I had like 200 pages off, and like it was really kind of like right there on your edge of the seat. Like, I was full of suspense and kind of, there was a lot of action, and there were still like 200 pages left, so I was curious as to where it would kind of go in these last 2 pages, and it was mostly kind of setting up for kind of the next in the series, and it really started to slow down a little bit, and I was a bit bummed by that. I wanted to be kind of continue on with just like the suspense and action, but there were still a couple like scenes and kind of chapters throughout those kind of 200 pages that were really great as well. But I would say like it was mostly just kind of setting up for the next in the series. And it was really interesting to see how all the different perspectives really kind of changed from the beginning to the end, and how they're different. And it was just really cool to just see their journeys and see what they're ready to bring for the next book. And I'm really excited to see where it will go in the next book, and I can't wait for the next one in the series. I'm going to have to wait probably a long time, because I'm not sure if this author is going to go to her other series that is unfinished or work on this. But I would really like to continue on with the Burning Kingdom series. I think I'm going to give this like 4 stars, and it's mainly because those last 200 pages were kind of a bit of a slog, and I was a bit kind of disappointed with that. But other than that, it was really interesting. The magic was cool. I thought all the perspectives and the characters were, like, I was able to kind of connect with a little bit, like just to appreciate their journey and kind of see how they're all kind of coming from different things, different backgrounds. And what's crazy is I kind of drew a connection of the kind of the Crown of the Feathers, the YA series. So if you liked the Crown of Feathers and you're looking for adult fantasy, you could maybe try this, because there's similar things between like siblings and kind of having a tough love kind of relationship between Priya and Ashok. And I think those two are like Veronica and Val. So I think they're very similar, dealing with rebellions and kind of overthrowing kingdoms. There's a lot of that, so it's very similar, I think. So if you like that one or that one, if you read this one, definitely give this one a try. But other than that, I also finished Dead Wake, and that was really interesting. I always like Eric Larson's books, but the ending kind of was just wrapping up kind of how America later on joined the war, and how the Lusitania was just kind of one of the ways, or one of the entry points for the U.S. into the war. And I thought it was interesting how he touched on kind of the conspiracy theory behind kind of the Room 40, the secret service of the British kind of intelligence that kind of knew what was going on with the Lusitania, and they thought that it might be attacked, but they didn't tell, because they kind of wanted them to drag America into the war. So I thought that was interesting. It covered kind of that little conspiracy theory, but it was overall, it was a great read. And just that last bit when it was kind of sinking, it was really sad, and it was really like, yeah, it was tough to get through, but overall I was really enjoyed. I think I'm gonna give it like, I don't know yet, probably like a 3.5 stars. It's not my favorite of his, but that is all for this little reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed this first one and saw a little glimpse of how boring my life is. I just get lost in books. But I'm going to leave you with a message, as always, from Ellie, who said that adventure is out there. So I'll catch you next time. Bye.